Good evening. Welcome to the Village Board of Trustees Workshop Meeting. Today is Monday, October 26th, now 7 p.m. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And as we always do, let us remain standing and think about our servicemen and women protecting and serving our country here and overseas. Thank you. Good evening, all. I'm going to call a roll call. Trustee Alpert.
Present.
Trustee Girard. You're muted, Paul.
Present.
There you go. Trustee Barone.
Present.
And Trustee Corrigan is absent. Also here is the village clerk, Amy Paffenroth. We have the village attorneys on board also, Mr. Richard Glickel and Mr. Rob Magrino. And we have the treasurer and the chief of police, our new chief of police, Chief Loughlin. Okay, next up is the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is scheduled for Monday, November 9th. That was rescheduled from November 2nd, and that will be at 7 p.m. The next workshop meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 30th, 2020 at 7 p.m. And the village reorganization meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 7th at 7 p.m. with the regular meeting of the Village Board of Trustees immediately following. Does anyone have any concerns about that schedule?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right then. Fire Department, Chief Kaufer, are you on?
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Hi,
Good, how are
Chief.
you?
Hi.
Good. Just two items on the agenda. The first one is last month we had asked for a resolution to be passed for the hose company to have a car wash at the firehouse on October 25th, which was yesterday. There was some miscommunication between myself and the hose company captain and president. The car wash is actually in conjunction with Crystal Car Wash, so there will be nothing taking place at our facility. So if need be, we can rescind that resolution from last month.
Was it a resolution or was just a motion on that?
I believe there was a resolution.
Yes, there was. Okay. Do we know the resolution number, Ms. Paffenroth? No. Okay, so we'll have that prepared for the next meeting to rescind that resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
And the second item is for the department to be able to attend the Orangeburg Fire Department Holiday Parade on December 12th from 4 p.m. to approximately 9 p.m.
Do we have that resolution? Okay, so we'll have that. Does anyone have any objection to that for the fire department to attend the Orangeburg Fire Department Holiday Parade?
Chief, how's our new brush truck coming along?
It's in the firehouse. I'm actually going to send Amy an email tomorrow with the VIN information so we can get the insurance on it. We'll get it registered, and then we're going to do some driver training, and we'll be good to go.
All right. Does that make it to the parade?
Hopefully. I'm going to say probably not, only because I don't think we'll be done with the driver training by then.
Okay, anything else, Chief?
Nope, that's all.
All right, great. Keep up the great work down there in the fire department.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, next up is Culture and Recreation, Miss Cathy Mills.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Okay.
Good. So a few things that we have on the agenda this evening. We have our chair exercise classes. We have brought them in due to the weather. We have those over in the community center on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. We have our chair yoga classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the community center. We have Zoom chair yoga on Fridays at 10 a.m. We have the walking club at Yorkshire Park. That's still happening unless it's pouring rain or unless the rain is coming down. We are going to still walk at Yorkshire's at Wednesdays at 10, sorry. Yesterday was our Halloween trunk or treat event. It started at 1, it went to 3 p.m. It was a fabulous event. We had great control of the crowds, which weren't crowds. There were a nice even flow of people coming in to the lot over by the community center. We're thankful to Avon for giving us the Avon lot for the afternoon. We had a nice amount of people coming in. We had wonderful, wonderful organizations as part of this event yesterday. We had the fire department. They had 2 trucks there. Our police department had the DARE truck. It was fabulous to see it there. We had a lot of residents that were part of Trunk or Treat. We had the Suffern Library. We had the Girl Scouts organization. So we really had a nice showing of people that were there. We did everything socially distanced, so people were able to still get out and trunk or treat, but also social distance. Everybody came in with a mask. Everybody kept their masks on. Joy in the faces. It was really a really nice day for the village. So I'm proud that all of us as a village were able to do that. And I enjoyed seeing everybody, and it was just a great event. So I thank everybody for that. We really,
You're coming in and out there, Cathy. I think we lost you. Cathy?
Frozen, I think.
Yeah, I think we lost her. Okay, so we'll move on. If Cathy gets back on, she can bring us back up to speed. But the trunk or treat, as Cathy was saying, with the excellent turnout, socially distanced, mask wearing, hand sanitizer, we had everything in place. The police department, the DPW, the PBA, the CSEA, they all volunteered. We had a lot of volunteers there, and the residents and the children really had a fantastic time. So thank you to all involved. It was a great event. It really was. Okay, the tree committee update is Sandy, but she is not present.
But I was at the meeting, so I could give an update.
Perfect, Mr. Barone. There you go.
I attended the tree committee meeting, and the tree committee discussed the continuing maintenance of the village trees. And there are, a few directions that we could go. One is to continue the pruning of the trees that were just pruned, but the sidewalk and the owner's side wasn't pruned. The second option is to kind of take an inventory of all the trees and remove all of the dead and dying and dangerous limbs throughout the village first, and then go back and trim the other trees. I had put a phone call into our attorney, Rob Magrino, to ask what's the liability on trees falling down and hurting people, and he informed me that the village is liable once someone calls and complains and nothing is done, and then the tree falls and it hurts someone. At that point, that's when the village is liable. Rob, did I get that right?
You're muted, Rob.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, right, every time a tree limb falls, again, whether it's a municipality or your neighbor, unless you've had prior, certainly with the municipality, you need prior written notice. But if there's prior notice, that's really when you would face potential liability. So based upon what you were suggesting in terms of going around looking at the trees, I suggested speaking to Charles Sawicki. And yes, any trees that, as you say, limbs or trees that pose a danger should be addressed.
So upon Rob's advice, it would be better to inventory all the trees, remove the ones in imminent danger of falling before we trim healthy trees.
So we would need to go out to bid on that, to do the inventory and then do an analysis to see what what trees are dangerous or pose a threat?
Correct. And then there would also be grants available that would help pay for this. And we would be eligible for a grant that is equal to what we spend on our trees as a village. So Charles can put together an accounting of what we spend on our tree maintenance, and then we can apply for a grant that will match that.
Okay.
Mayor Cathy Mills has joined us again.
Oh, okay. Mr. Barone, are you done with your update on the trees?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I don't know. Let's let Cathy jump in unless somebody has a question for Mr. Barone. All right. Cathy, are you back on? Ms. Mills?
Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry. I seem to be the dunce at this Zoom situation. My apologies. So this Friday night is Halloween Town, the movie. The weather is looking a little tricky, so we will make the call for that as late as Friday, depending on the weather. But everybody that has RSVP'd, I have their email address. We keep the list. That's how people come into the movie. So we will reach out to them if it's not happening, and I will let the board know as well. Next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, as everyone knows, is Election Day. The community center and Loughlin will be used as poll places for those that are their poll places. That's not taking over for the library. The library is still a regular location, but the community center and Loughlin are still going to be poll locations. Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Cathy. Are we going to ensure, like, is the Board of Elections going to do anything in regards to socially distancing people, or?
They will. They have extra people on hand that they will be able to socially distance. The building will not be filled up as much as it normally is. So there will be locations outside. We're talking with DPW. We might be able to put tents outside if there is any inclement weather. But
I think
we will
that should be left up like to the Board of Elections, make sure that their resources are utilized.
Yes. Yeah, I'll reach out to them tomorrow. It's a good point. I'll reach out to the board people that we work with. So I'll reach out to them tomorrow.
Right.
And then Veterans Day, believe it or not, is coming up. That is on Wednesday, November 11th. We have that. The mayor and I were at the monument today looking at it, getting it ready. So we will have a ceremony that we will again socially distance and make sure that we are honoring our veterans in the right way. So that is on 11/11 at 11 a.m. and more details to follow on that. So again, when we had the event this weekend, we had so many people that were looking for things to do. So depending on how we can socially distance and ways that we can come up with events and programs, we are looking very diligently at that. And, you know, we're working with all the other departments. So we're looking forward to trying to get more things happening, but depending on size of events and ways that we can run them, that's kind of our, you know, going forward for the next couple of months. But we're doing well. We're happy. People that are in our programs are thrilled that they're still continuing some normalcy during this downtime. So
You guys been doing a great job, especially with the social distancing aspect and all of that. It really has been working out in a trunk or treat. As I said, when you were offline, you guys did a great job.
thank you very much. Thank you.
So we have to, we have to bring the chief of police in also for the Veterans Day event. Let's keep that in mind.
Yep.
Because it's going to be really a little bit different than the years past in regards to Washington Avenue.
Yes.
So we'll
Yep.
talk more about that with the chief
Mhm.
during the week.
Sounds good.
Hey, Cathy, how did Keep Rockin' Beautiful go?
Keep Rockin' Beautiful was great. We reached our limit of 50 people. So the people that signed up, we were able to get locations for them. They went over to Memorial Drive. They cleaned up around the gazebo area. We had the Boy Scouts, which thank goodness for the Boy Scouts, they're always a huge part of Keep Rockin' Beautiful. They went over to Brooklands and they cleaned up over there. We had our CSEA members that volunteered for the day, and thank you for the village board for letting them use the trucks to pick up garbages. There were over 41 bags of garbage, and there were over 10 bags of recycles that were collected in that 2-hour time span from all those volunteers. So it worked out great. All the bags were picked up that afternoon. They went back to DPW, but again, we're one of the largest communities that participate in Keep Rockin' Beautiful events. So we were thrilled to have it. So it was a great event. It was really good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you,
Thank
everybody.
you. Next update is from Chief of Police, Chief Loughlin.
Chief, you have to unmute.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. For the month of October, the police department responded to 476 calls for service. The call types range from 911 calls, assisting outside agencies, suspicious persons, motor vehicle accidents, disorderly persons, fights, medical emergencies, noise complaints, welfare checks, fraud and harassment reports, burglar and fire alarms, emotionally disturbed persons, intoxicated persons, hazardous conditions, animal complaints, domestic disputes, and a variety of other routine calls for service. We made several arrests this month, charging multiple individuals with menacing with a weapon in the 2nd degree, menacing in the 3rd degree, criminal possession of a weapon in the 4th degree, harassment, criminal possession of a controlled substance both in the 4th degree and the 7th degree, unlawful possession of marijuana, criminal trespass, obstructing governmental administration, resisting arrest, and multiple counts of driving while intoxicated and other vehicle and traffic offenses. For this month regarding police department training, in addition to our normal in-service training that our officers receive, we sent 2 officers to specialized trainings this month. Police Officer Ortiz completed instructor development as well as firearms instructor training, which enables him to teach police-related courses to our officers, as well as conduct firearms training for us. Police Officer William Samora completed a 2-day commercial vehicle weights and measurements course in which he received training that will enable him to weigh suspected overweight commercial vehicles, as well as ensure that commercial vehicles are operating within the required height and width restrictions of our roadways. This specialty is crucial to ensuring the safety of motorists from dangers associated with the operation of unsafe commercial vehicles. Lastly, in recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month, the Rockland County District Attorney's Office recognized Suffern Police Officer Ryan Ortiz for his dedicated service to the village of Suffern and the people of Rockland County. So I just wanted to mention that and make sure he was recognized for that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Congratulations to Officer Ortiz on that recognition from the
Chief,
DA.
I have a question for you. The shooting range where officers train, can you tell me a little bit about, what the hours are when officers go there and shoot?
You mean hours, how many hours a year of annual training, or what hours we shoot at the range?
Yeah, what hours during the week and what time of day is the range open for officers to shoot?
So typically the range is really operated by the Ramapo Sportsmen's Association. Typically we don't do our normal firearms training there. We train at the Rockland County Police Academy range, only because the range here in Suffern you can't shoot rifles at. You can only shoot handguns at that. So when we do utilize the range here, typically it's for a new officer that needs to get qualified on a handgun, and we'll just bring them down there during the daytime hours. We call ahead to the Sportsmen's Association, let them know that we'll be using the range. But typically our regular range training is done at the Police Academy range.
So if a resident was mentioning to me, oh, I'm being disturbed by the police training on Sunday morning, it's probably not the police who are at that range.
Correct. It's likely the Sportsmen's Association. I can tell you that they just redid that range. They just reopened it this year. They did a lot of upkeep there for safety reasons. And since they reopened the range, we've probably utilized it maybe 3 times this year.
All right, so I'll let those residents know that it's not the Suffern police making that noise. Thank you.
Residents about that as well.
Chief, do you have any update on the September overtime?
Yes, I had sent a email to the board prior to the meeting. I don't know if you received it or not.
I did.
Sorry, I didn't think I saw it right before the meeting. Let me, I'll look for it.
Okay.
It was, Paul, it originally came as a number of hours, and then I asked the new chief to drill down a little further and provide the dollar value so that we could see how it affects the budget, which is the whole purpose of knowing this, is seeing whether we're on target. And indeed, the numbers came back, and I want to thank you because they were on target for our, what we expect for the year. And that's good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, as I was saying, Chief, earlier, it seems like a lot of calls, 476 calls. Thank you for all of that dedication. And once again, thank you to P.O., or congratulations to P.O. Ortiz on his recognition from the DA's office for Hispanic Heritage Month. That's great. We thank you for that. And the weights and measures, just to make the board aware that that's a critical safety point here in the village of Suffern, that we're able to identify and weigh overweight vehicles, mostly commercial. Is that right, Chief? Commercial vehicles.
Correct.
And look for hazards that may exist on the truck. So that's great that we have that training now in place. Thank you. Okay, is there anything else?
No, I do see the report, Chief. My apologies. Thanks.
No problem.
All right, Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, the Department of Public Works. I don't believe Mr. Zawicki is here with us this evening. Did he happen to sign on?
I did not see him sign on. I don't see anyone else from DPW on.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to be out through tomorrow, so.
Yeah, I thought he may have signed on, but that's okay. Okay, so we'll skip by that. Mr. Genito with the treasurer's update, please.
Yes, Mayor. Basically, what we've done, we have the financial statements in their final stages. The auditors are going to give us the published statements within the next couple of weeks. We have the bond anticipation note that gets renewed in November. Certain bonds or bands are paid off and others are added onto it or renewed. And then we also have the bond with the EFC coming up that's going to come out in December. That's their 2020 version B bonds, as they call them. And we're preparing for that. Obviously, there's a lot of work involved in all of that with the financial advisors and the bond counsel, and especially with the EFC, with all the different avenues you have to go through to make sure everything's taken care of. So other than that, we have the water bills coming out on or about November 1. As you know, we bill semi-annually for water and sewer. And as part of that, we're also going through a meter review, especially the large meters, to make sure they are operating properly and have been replaced as they should be. And we are preparing a water rate study RFP. So a lot of stuff going on that way, but that's basically it.
Sounds good. Sounds like a lot, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mr. Magrino.
Okay, good evening again. The first item I met with the two chiefs, chief of police and the chief of the fire department, regarding the fire zone on Antrim Avenue. Actually, Mayor, you could probably speak to it. It's a minor change. Instead of, it's basically having a fire zone on one side of the street, the complete length, rather than
Half the
two
length.
sides, correct?
Right. So yeah, so I'll just so on Atrium Avenue, next to the hook and ladder, the fire zone only extends from Lafayette Avenue south to about halfway down. The fire department needs the whole side of Atrium Avenue because there are too many vehicles for them to navigate the trucks in and out of the garage. So that would be the authorizing of a public hearing for Monday, November 9th. And we have enough time to get that in.
Right.
Hold on, I have it right.
That'll be published appropriately, and it'll be a relatively minor change.
We'll take care of it, a resolution this evening.
Yeah, if you can authorize a public hearing to be held, yes.
All right, so I have it in front of me. Authorize a public hearing to be held on November 9th, 2020 to amend Chapter 254 of the Code of the Village of Suffern entitled Vehicles and Traffic, to consider expanding the fire zone on Atrium Avenue. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion trustee Barone. Do I have a second?
Second, trustee Alpert.
Trustee Alpert, yeah. Any further on the discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, the second item is really nothing to be voted on. Back in 2018, I believe, the board adopted the New York State sexual harassment policy. And that does require the policy and the law that there be annual training. This has obviously been a very unique year. I don't believe the training has taken place this year. So I just wanted to make sure that that got done before the end of the calendar year. My suggestion would be to pick a date every year that the training is to be completed by, and ask that the department heads, make sure that that is done. For this year, I suggest at least by December 31st. That should give us enough time. I know Amy left me a message earlier today that I believe through the EAP program, there are programs available. So that will be taken care of before December 31st. I just wanted to mention that. If anybody had any questions up.
Rob, is this training that takes place online?
Well, yes, it's interesting because there is supposed to be, it can be online. There is supposed to be an interactive portion so that if one of the attendees has questions, they can ask them and be responded to. So I believe that they have been, and especially at this point, with the governor's orders, I believe that there are accommodations for that to take place remotely. So I think that that's part of the training that'll be available.
Thank you.
Next, back in 2016, the board passed a resolution regarding the Squires Gate properties. All of the properties that participated in the program have been sold to, in essence, the state, the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. We are now in the process. They've provided me with contract of sale for the village to purchase the properties at a nominal sum of $10. And they will be, for village purposes, parkland, et cetera. There are certain restrictions. That will be on for next week to authorize the mayor to sign that contract. I'll send a copy to everybody before that. There are restrictions. There are certain things that can go there, like an open air pavilion and things of that nature that, wouldn't, that can be there, despite the flooding that exists at that location. It's basically for recreation, village use as recreation.
How many properties are involved roughly?
Mayor, I want to say
60.
I was going to say at least 15. Yeah.
16, or I'd have to pull up the email.
Okay, so approximately.
Right. I'll send you the contract with all of a list of the properties. But this was previously approved back in 2016 to participate in the program, and in a way, the village is somewhat already committed to going through with it, but just that was a while ago. So I think it's prudent to have this on as a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign.
Okay.
You're gonna
Okay.
pass
What
that
else?
resolution now?
I'm sorry.
We're going to do that at the next meeting or now?
Yeah, at the village board meeting next on the 9th. And the last item was put on there. That's really I thought Charles will address the Memorial Drive situation. There are options available that would start with engineering options, and then depending upon what the result of any investigation we have on that, the village will have its options legally, as to what needs to be done. There's funding issues, so that was more going to be a follow-up to what any updates Charles had.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Magrino.
Thank you.
Trustees update. Anybody
I'd
have
like
anything for this
to,
evening?
I'd like to make a comment about all of the police officers that I've met during the interview process of promoting people to lieutenant and sergeant. And I'm just thoroughly impressed at the quality of the people that I've talked to who are members of the Suffern Police Department. They're very, very impressive people. And I'm proud that they're on our police department, every one of them that I spoke with.
I've had the same experience. It's been really wonderful to talk to several officers and sergeants. Just incredible people. I agree. I'm very, very glad that we have such a strong police department.
Yep, agreed here as well. Good point, Charles. Thanks for bringing it up.
Well, talking to those points in the police department, I just want to say that to Chief Loughlin that, since assuming the helm downstairs there, it's been very challenging and you're doing a fantastic job. So keep up the great work with you and your staff. You guys really have a handle on, you in particular have a handle on what's going on. And of course, all of the officers, sergeants and lieutenants do also. Great job. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
I'd also like to give you a little bit of an update on the Suffern Foundation meeting that I attended. Bruce Simon came up with what I thought was a fabulous idea as kind of a fundraiser, or get involved in the village, a New Year's resolution all wrapped up in one. And basically, on New Year's Day, you register with the village that you are going to walk a marathon through the village. You get probably until Memorial Day to finish, but when you're done, we're going to have a big finish line. And as the people walk through the finish line, they're going to get I Walk the Suffern Marathon, and their t-shirt would be purchased, and it would be a fundraiser for the village. It would get us all in shape. And I thought it was a fun New Year's resolution. And I thought that Bruce had a great idea in the Suffern Village Marathon.
So that's for the community foundation, the fundraising portion of it. Correct. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Okay. Next, we have the approving of the employment agreement for Stephen Mulvaney as Justice Court Clerk. So I have the resolution here approving the employment agreement between the Village of Suffern and Stephen T. Mulvaney, who is a resident of the County of Rockland, as appointed to the position of Chief Clerk of the Village Justice Court. Whereas the position of Justice Court Clerk, the Village of Suffern, Whereas the position of Justice Court Clerk, the Village Justice Court, was vacated in September by the retirement of Christine Anderson. And whereas in accordance with Section 441C2 of Village Law, the village mayor, upon advice and consent of the village justices, has appointed Stephen T. Mulvaney, who is currently a resident of Blauvelt, Rockland County, New York, to the non-competitive position of Justice Court Clerk for the Village of Suffern. Now therefore it is resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the terms and conditions of employment of the Justice Court Clerk as set forth in the letter of agreement between the Village of Suffern and Stephen T. Mulvaney, said employment to commence on or about November 4th, and is further resolved that notwithstanding any other provisions of law to the contrary, the Board of Trustees hereby provides that in lieu of any other residency requirement imposed by law and in accordance with Section 300(2), the Justice Court Clerk may reside within the county in which the Village of Suffern is situated, to wit, Rockland County. Do I have a motion?
Motion, Girard.
Motion, Trustee Girard. Do I have a second?
Second,
Who is that?
Barone.
Trustee Barone. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Thank you. I have a letter of resignation here addressed to the Honorable Ernest Bonacore. Dear Judge Bonacore, this is to notify you that I am resigning my position of Assistant Court Clerk with the Village of Suffern as of December 18th, 2020, due to using my allotted vacation time. My last working day will be October 28th. I wish you and your new court staff continued success. Sincerely, Ann Rizzo. Okay, next up, as previously discussed in regards to perma classes and training, I know that we received a couple of additional videos, but we have a list of online courses. I don't know if I forwarded it to you, but these are the online courses that we will be working with, along with Mr. Glickel, who has also provided us with courses. And that's all I have. Oh, one last thing. Well, no, there's going to be two last things. I just like to congratulate the Suffern Women's Club on their 100th anniversary. I had the honor and privilege of attending their tree ceremony. They planted a tree, a memorial tree for the Women's Club at the Suffern Library. So I wish them another 100 years of success in helping the Village of Suffern and our community. Thank you for all your service. Okay. Next, I'd like to make a motion to enter into an executive session to discuss police personnel matters.
Do we have that number that we join?
Yeah. Mike Genito sent that out.
Genito sent it out. Yes. Look for an email from Mike Genito. I'm gonna mute here and go ahead and go to the.
So we
to vote.
need,
Did you get to make a motion or?
Yeah, I made the
Motion. Oh.
Trustee Alpert, do I have a second
Second, Gerard.
on the discussion? The board may come out and render a decision. So that's for the public information.
Mike, can you resend me that phone number? The only thing I see is the meeting to join the Zoom.
I'll do that.
All in favor for the executive session?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to exit executive session?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second, Trustee Alpert.
Okay, so Trustee Barone, Trustee Alpert. Exit.
We say all in favor?
Oh, any further discussion?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, thank you for waiting for us to come out of executive session. We have deemed the executive session to take an action. The action is to promote Police Sergeant Jose Martinez to the position of Police Lieutenant. Whereas on or about October 5th, 2020, Lieutenant Andrew Loughlin was appointed to serve as Police Chief of the Village of Suffern Police Department, pending the permanent appointment of Police Chief from a list of qualified eligible candidates as established by competitive civil service examination. Position of Police Chief of the Village's Police Department was vacated by retirement, and whereas the Village Board of Trustees, in their capacity as police commissioners, have determined to promote a member of the police department to the lieutenant's position that is now previously vacated by Chief Loughlin's appointment. And whereas there exists a current civil service list of qualified eligible candidates for the position of police lieutenant, now therefore it is resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby promotes and appoints Suffern Police Sergeant Jose Martinez to fill the vacated position of police lieutenant on a contingent permanent basis pending the permanent appointment of former Lieutenant Loughlin as police chief. And be it further resolved that pending such contingency and beginning with and throughout his contingent service as police lieutenant, Lieutenant Martinez's base salary shall be increased to 10% above that of the position of detective sergeant, and the lieutenant shall be provided with an unmarked, fully equipped vehicle 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for official use as required by his duties and for personal use, which vehicle shall be maintained by the village in good appearance and safe working order. And be it further resolved that until such time as his contingent appointment becomes fully permanent, Lieutenant Martinez shall continue to enjoy all benefits and rights conferred to police officers under the current agreement, the CBA, between the Village of Suffern, between the village and the Suffern Patrolmen's Benevolent Association. Once his appointment becomes fully permanent, all of the terms and conditions of Lieutenant Martinez's employment will be only as those terms and conditions are negotiated and set forth in a separate employment agreement between the village and Lieutenant Martinez. That was a mouthful. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Alpert.
Do I have a second?
Second, trustee Barone.
Any further discussion? I would like to say, once again, with the recommendation and a nomination from Chief Loughlin and a review of Sergeant, now Lieutenant Jose Martinez's personnel file, comes highly recommended. He's a great sergeant, a great asset to the village of Suffern, and will be leading the way along with Chief Loughlin, which I applaud for your dedication, along with Sergeant, now Lieutenant Jose Martinez. Thank you very much, and I congratulate Lieutenant Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Congratulations, Lieutenant Martinez, and thank you, Chief Loughlin. Okay. Motion to adjourn,
Motion, trustee Barone.
8:45. Do I have a second?
Second, Girard.
Barone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, folks.
Night.
Good night.
Aye.